Shtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. And my name is Blake T. Wild. You may also know me as Smokey's Videos, and I am back after a, 7-month hiatus on this show? It's just a mid-season break. You know how shows do that, because we're in Season 2 still, obviously. But I am back with episode 29. Too many movies. The episode of Comic Shtick, the comic book podcast, that's all about movies that I watched within the past 7 months, and my thoughts on them. What happened? Why did I not keep making these episodes? Exhaustion, more or less. Exhaustion and trying to work on completing the Custodians, Agents of Cross. Of course, if you've followed my channel before, that is my love letter to the Silver Age of comics, the 60s era of comics. It is over 60 pages. I would show you the little copy that I typically have in the videos, but it's in a box. After a local convention that I went to, I put it away. But that is what took up a lot of my time at the beginning of the year or so, around that time that I sort of fell off making the episodes, and I was just pretty tired. I'm still very tired. It's uncomfortable to really sit without my foot rested, elevated, after I got struck by a vehicle last month, riding my scooter home. So I'm very precariously, sort of elevating my foot in this position on my desk. So if I move around or the video cuts at odd places, it's probably because I have to fix myself. But yeah, a lot has happened since I last spoke to you. I completed the Custodians. I started making YouTube videos again. Got back into that. I started playing D&D for the first time. I've always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I finally convinced my my wife's relatives to let me dungeon master them as they all played, and so we were playing that quite often over the past summer or so, and then sort of fell off after the summer, but hopefully we can start picking it up again sometime soon. I don't know, but that is a heck of a lot of fun. I greatly enjoyed. I got really into miniatures and wargaming sort of figures, so I got a shit ton of those. Fair amount of them painted, a lot more aren't painted, as is the way with sort of wargaming miniatures and Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. I don't really plan on using them probably for wargaming that much, as I don't really have anybody to play with, and I don't think there's a local wargaming scene going on. But I've gotten Kings of War from Mantic Games, a lot of third-party Etsy sellers through there. I'm getting great little high-quality miniatures, painting those up. It's a lot different. I'm used to customizing sort of 6-inch action figures, so getting into the tiny little scale of miniatures was quite the endeavor. Still cannot paint eyes, though. That is one constant between painting both of those scales, is that I am terrible at painting eyeballs. But I feel like that's sort of a normal thing. What else did I do? Oh, of course, I went on my honeymoon. That was back in July. Yeah, because we were there in the beginning of July for the the anniversary of Spam. We went to Hawaii, and it was all over the news. They were quite excited about it. Very amazing. Great experience. Had a great time. We were there for about a week and a half. Beautiful weather, beautiful scenery, depressing sort of economic situation going on there. Saw a lot of obnoxious and entitled tourists. Saw a lot of dilapidated buildings. We were in Honolulu, and as soon as you get out from that sort of downtown area, I guess, even downtown, we were a block away from some shady strip club, and it was also, our hotel's right next to this giant fancy indoor mall. It's weird. It's so weird. But if you drive 20 minutes in any direction, you're eventually going to start seeing buildings that haven't been updated since the 70s, because it's expensive to do so. You can't afford it, can't get the funds to do it. Apparently corruption's a big thing. And just further out you go, the sort of lower economic status it quickly becomes, and it's very depressing. So that was something. But we went by the Disney resort, because my wife loves Disney, and I didn't dig it. I did not jive with the Aulani Resort personally. Food was great. We spent about $400 on dinner there. Went to their little alcove beach lagoon thing, all the man-made shit. We tried that. We went to actual beaches along the North Shore. Those were nice. But yeah, the Disney thing, it's off-putting to me. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever somebody says, "Oh, am I the only one?" No, you're not the only one. So obviously it's not just me. But there was just something about the whole of Olani and that kind of cultural appropriation thing that they got going on that it just didn't sit well with me. Also, when we were there, I think it was the night when we were leaving after having the dinner there, because we didn't stay there. Fuck that, that's way too expensive. But we did go there like a couple of times just to walk around and buy stuff. They don't card you or anything. You just go and visit. You can't use their facilities, of course, but you can just fucking hang around. We were leaving, and we were walking out through the lobby, and this fucking poor, like, the doorman or, like, the bellhop or the guy who helps get the luggage unloaded from the fucking people who pay the valets, whatever. This old white guy comes barging up from the parking garage with a bunch of leis in his hand, like the flower necklaces. And he goes, "Had to go fucking buy my own goddamn leis since you people don't provide them anymore." And he just keeps going. And the dude standing there's just like, what the fuck? Oh my god, I couldn't help but laugh. It was, oh my god, those fucking people. Some of those people are, oh god, it just, I feel so bad for anybody who is a local and native in Hawaii and is attempting to afford a life there. Because there's not a lot of job opportunities outside of tourism. And that's not really a ladder structure, now is it? But anyway, moving on. After the honeymoon, we got back. And then about a month later, we went to Tucson Comic-Con. And that was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. That was my first time ever being at Tucson Comic-Con as either a vendor or just an attendee. I've never gone before. Really great size convention. So much going on. Smaller than Phoenix Comic-Con, of course, but still very nice size. I highly recommend it. It was great fun. We were situated right next to the celebrity guests, where it was Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead, the Yellow Power Ranger, what's her name, Tracy Lynn Cruz, and the Honky Tonk Man from WWE fame, and Michael Biehn, I think, and his wife, maybe? Whoever the guy was from the first Terminator movie that plays Kyle Reese, that guy. They were there occasionally, but that was a really fun experience. I met two fans, Nick and Jackson. I hope I'm getting those names right, because it's been over a month. That was awesome to just have people come by that are fans of the YouTube channel, and seeing them there. That was really great to talk to them. I met Honky Tonk Man, was talking to him for about 15 minutes or so. He's a really cool guy. I had a hoot just chatting with him. I paid to get a photo with him, of him punching me in the stomach. I think that's going to be my new thing now. I've always wanted to do this, like, whenever I go to conventions with, like, actors or something. I just always think it's going to be really funny to just, like, hey, yeah, I got a picture with so-and-so, and then show it to the person, and it's just the actor just super disgusted and punching me, like, just somewhere on my body, and just me in pain. That's always just been a dream of mine, just to do continuously, just have a giant photo album of me being punched by celebrities, because I think that would be something funny to have. So Honky Tonk Man is the #1 in that album. You can check that out on my Instagram, @NobBlakeWild. And then, of course, the day after Tucson Comic-Con, I got hit by a car. SUV, rather. And since then, I went to, YumaCon, and that was a horrible experience, because obviously it hurts to move. But other than that, it was a good time. Met some cool people. If anybody was a fan of the YouTube channel, they didn't say so. Otherwise, yeah, it was all right. It's honestly been declining in the past couple years. They had decided, for some god knows reason, to hold a Smash Bros tournament in the main hall area, and have an announcer / commentator for that fucking game be over the entire speaker system. So I was having to talk to people who are about a little further away than the camera is for me right now, having to just shout at the top of my lungs to be able to speak with them just throughout half of Saturday and all of Sunday. I don't know what on God's green earth they were thinking by doing that. I complained to them. I'm sure other people complained to them about getting the volume turned down. They did not do it. So I am having some hesitations on whether or not I should go again next year. Tucson was amazing. I'm definitely going back to Tucson in 2024. I don't know. I need to start looking at other conventions, other comic conventions. Emphasis on comic. I need to find ones that are more focused on the comic aspect of a comic convention rather than the pop culture aspect of a comic convention. Because I feel like that would probably benefit me better. But now that sort of catches you up to where I have been this past whole time. Now let's get into some old notes that I have on here. May as well. These are several months old, such as Garth Ennis returns to Marvel for Marvel Zombies Black, White, and Red. I don't know if this has come out yet. I feel like it's probably going to come out this month since it's October and that spooky season. I don't know what Marvel Zombies Black, White, and Red is. I don't know if it's set in the Marvel Zombies universe or if it's like, oh, there's another Zombies universe. But the Black, White, and Red seems to be popular enough to Marvel, at least, to the point where they're doing multiple versions of it. They did Moon Knight, and I want to say they did another character as Black, White, and Red, but I can't remember who. Oh, apparently Disney has discontinued or is going to be discontinuing physical media releases for Australia starting sometime next year, I want to say. So that's not a good sign at all, especially to someone like me, who vastly prefers physical media. I guess that's gonna mean a lot more pirating. If I can just buy... I'm sure you can buy blank Blu-ray discs and just get a Blu-ray player that you can plug into your phone and just burn them off of there. I'm sure is a possibility. You can just find a high-quality... multiple like formatted torrent somewhere, just rip a movie off, put it on your Blu-ray, print up your own fucking Blu-ray sleeve cover, boom, there you go, physical media. But yeah, that is not something I'm looking forward to, is Disney further attempting to expand their Disney Vault in broader terms of the meaning by cutting off physical media limitations. Oh, here we go. This was something that I don't really follow John Woo or any of his movies. I don't think I've ever seen a John Woo movie, but I just thought this was interesting. Apparently, John Woo is in production of remaking his own film, The Killer. That's never happened, right? Like well, you know, like a remake of films happen all the time, but never by someone who was a part of the original. It'd be like if Alfred Hitchcock remade Psycho with Vince Vaughn, the one from the 90s, which he may as well have because it's a shot-for-shot remake. No, if it was Alfred Hitchcock who remade Psycho in the 90s, he would have done something totally different. He would have been so far past anything he did in the 60s that it would have been an entirely different film. It's just so fucking weird why? I guess you could say George Lucas in a way, but even then, he didn't really change that much. He just added some stuff. What would he... Is there anything that he really changed between the original, like all the Star Wars versions? Not really. He adds CG background elements, or during that one scene in A New Hope, foreground elements, when that Ronto walks past the screen, but like there's really nothing much that... Just some like extraneous stuff. Like the main thing that comes to mind is the Jabba at Docking Bay 94 scene. But even then, that doesn't change the movie very much. This is a director completely remaking his whole movie. I guess, I mean, I think the original was pretty popular. I don't know, I've never seen it, so I'm sure it'll work out, probably, maybe. Max Greenfield is playing Barry Allen in the Flash Escape the Midnight Circus podcast audio drama. Those podcasts, those audio drama things that DC has been making, those have been pretty goddamn popular. There's the Batman one, there's the Flash one for some reason. I think there's a Superman, maybe? Is there? Or am I making stuff up? But they seem to work out really well. I think the Batman one's in, like, Season 2 or Season 3 of their storyline. Who was it I was looking at just the other day that plays the Riddler? It's someone that you wouldn't expect. But they just keep fucking pumping these things out, and people must like them if they do. So, I mean, hey, I'm all for a different take on, you know, this like classic character. It doesn't seem like it's that different from, you know, traditional elements of the characters. It's just another form to intake them through. Here is the... I don't know if this came out, by the way. I don't know. I never bothered paying attention. I haven't listened to any of the podcasts, so... Barry Allen is at the height of his powers and fame, firmly ensconced as Central City's favorite hero, but when being the Flash forces him to let Iris down one too many times, she decides to call it quits. Undeterred, Barry figures he can use the Speed Force to go back in time and set things right, but something goes wrong. He tumbles into a new dimension, finding himself in a small bedroom with Captain Cold, and his powers are gone. Cold tells Barry that he's the unwitting participant in a televised tournament, the Midnight Circus, which pits humans, superheroes, and rogues against one another in life-or-death games of chance. Survive the competition, and Barry earns his freedom. I'm yawning not because this is boring, but because I'm just tired. Survive the competition, but to do so, he'll have to rely solely on his wits. And if that wasn't hard enough, he soon finds himself facing his toughest opponent yet, Iris West. So it's a cool idea. I don't know if I would bother taking the time to actually listen to it. I feel like I'm gonna wait until the inevitable comic book adaptation of the audio dramas is gonna be released. I like the idea. It's very what's his name? Arcade from Marvel, and his Murder World is kind of what it sounds like. Midnight Circus doesn't really ring any bells. I don't think that's anything established. Although there's fucking... How many goddamn circus-themed villains are there between both Marvel and DC? God almighty. It's past 10, at least. But that's definitely a cool little thingy going on there. Like, oh, well, how did Barry get here? How's he going to escape? Who's behind it? So, yeah, if you've checked it out, if it's already released, let me know what you think. SDCC news. So we got a DC announcement, something called Beast World by Tom Taylor. Beast Boy is becoming Starro or Garro, and Beast Boy will be the greatest threat to the DC universe. Did this happen? Is it still happening? Because I haven't heard anything. I don't know what the fuck this is. What is Beast World? It's an event, clearly. I'm not gonna read it. I don't give a shit about Beast Boy, if I'll be honest. Is that a hot take to say that I don't really care about Beast Boy? I mean, like, he's cool in, like, the Doom Patrol issues from the 60s and the Teen Titans show. That's all the further Beast Boy media I've ever taken in, is that. Again, you know, in the comments, just let me know. What, is that a thing already? Did Tom Taylor already release 8 issues and I'm fucking that far behind? I don't know. You know, it's Tom Taylor. He's the guy who did Injustice, I want to say. So people like all of his stuff. So I imagine it's going to be pretty popular. Or it was pretty popular when it came out, if it did come out. Or is going to be popular once it does come out. Oy vey. This is why you don't wait 7 months to make a podcast on topics from about 5 months ago. Crisis on Infinite Earths and Watchmen are being made into 2024 animated movies. Cool. I hope that they don't really cut anything from the Watchmen movie. The motion comic is great. If you haven't seen the motion comic, I highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure it's still all available on YouTube. It's just cut up into chapters and parts. That's fantastic. That's how I showed my wife Watchmen, because there's no way she's going to read it. And I didn't want to show her the Snyder movie, because that's not the best. but she really enjoyed it. She really liked the Watchmen motion comic, so I highly recommend you guys check that out if you have not already. It came out around 2009, but it still really holds up, and it's really funny to hear the only narrator, who is a man, try to do a female impression. I guess it's like my videos. Superman Legacy got most of its cast announced, such as David Cornsweet, I guess, as Clark Kent Superman, and Rachel Brosnan as Lois Lane. And they look great. David Cornsweet, he looks a lot like Christopher Reeve, and I am down with that. If Superman isn't going to look like the Frank Quitely Superman for All Seasons kind of Superman, then he should look like the Christopher Reeve Superman. There's no in-between, which is what Henry Cavill was. He was the in-between. Superman should either be svelte and very tall and, you know, not roided out and jacked, but have a firm musculature, or he's just really fucking big. Like, just a giant of a man who's able to just shrink and, like, slouch down like he is in the Quietly Morrison series. Those two versions of Superman I am fine with. I liked Henry Cavill for what little bits of good Superman that he exhibited, but I never preferred Superman to just be roided out and jacked just to that extent all the time. Like, maybe if, you know, because he doesn't even try to hide it. He's, like, fucking wearing these tight-ass button-up shirts, and you just see the muscles popping out from underneath. Like, it's in the middle of the fucking Daily Planet, and they're like, whoa, okay, hey, Kent, you sure look fucking jacked. He's barely Clark Kent in those movies anyway, and he barely has any fucking personality change. I'll go over this all in my new Patreon-exclusive audio commentary series, where I'm rewatching the entirety of the Snyderverse. I'm also going to be rewatching the entirety of the MCU, and I'm going to have a new podcast called Pop Pop Popcorn, which is going to be Patreon exclusive as well, where it's just movies that I watch and some, like, follow-up discussion videos afterward. So if you check that out on my Patreon. I've revamped my entire Patreon, by the way. I probably should have brought this up at the beginning, but I forgot. I'm going to be making more content for that. Anyway, moving on. Isabella Merced is Hawk Girl. Eddie Gathegi? Gathegi? I don't know. I've never heard anybody say his name. Is Mr. Terrific, which is awesome. I love Mr. Terrific. He's really cool. And I love his face. I love the T, the fucking pure black T on his face, and his red glowing eyes. He's just such a cool looking design. He's fucking sweet. Nathan Fillion is going to be Guy Gardner, and Anthony Carrigan is Metamorpho. Anthony Carrigan is the guy who played Victor Zsasz in Gotham and NoHo Hank from Barry. He is an incredible actor. I fucking love him, so I can't wait to see him be Metamorpho. I wonder how they're going to do it. I wonder if it's just going to be him. I wonder if it's going to be like a 3D scan of his face and just like an entirely CGI character, kind of like Sandman from No Way Home. It's going to be interesting to see how they pull this off. I also want to know, I'm wondering, because, you know, they're establishing that all these other actual heroes exist in this world. It's not just like, oh my god, Superman, and now Batman, and now Wonder Woman, and now Aquaman. No, it's like, this is a living, breathing world where other stuff is happening outside of the movies, and it has happened before the movies. Stuff has happened before the movies that isn't just Batman's parents being killed and Krypton blowing up. I wonder how they're going to come into play. Like, is there going to be some sort of Justice League organization, or you'd have to imagine that would probably be set up at a later point, if they're going to set it up at all, if they want to. I don't know if they would. I'd imagine they do when I have a new Justice League film. Why wouldn't they be working towards that? Especially since it's James Gunn in charge, and he is incredible. But it is definitely interesting that, like, just to see how these other characters come into play. Brendan Fraser was apparently in talks to play Pa Kent in Superman Legacy. I don't know how true those rumors are, but that sounds fucking awesome, and I really hope that they don't kill Ma or Pa Kent. I would like to see a Superman world where both of them are alive, like in the animated series. Evan Peters joins Jared Leto in Tron 3, and Cameron Monaghan of Gotham fame. Yeah, he was that was him. Has been cast in Tron Ares, new Tron movie. I actually rewatched Tron Legacy for the first time since it came out earlier this year, and it's a really good movie. That fucking movie, it looks incredible, it sounds incredible, all the actors are giving it their all. That is a really fun, really awesome movie. And it makes sense that they're making a new Tron movie, and they're also doing that Tron ride at Disney World, I think. Tron's back on the menu, baby, and I am here for it. On Jared Leto being part of it, but oh well, what can you do? Of course, we all gasped in excitement and shock at Deadpool 3 having Wolverine in it. What the fuck? Wolverine in it in a fairly comic accurate suit. I don't really have much to say other than that's awesome. Here's some more Deadpool 3 rumors. Jennifer Garner is apparently going to reprise her role as Elektra, and Wolverine's costume is rumored to be designed after Astonishing X-Men, which was not true, unless there's a costume switch, and he gets the more prominent blues going through it. Because if I remember correctly, it's mostly yellow. Brian Cox is also rumored to be reprising his role as William Stryker in Deadpool 3. He was Stryker in X2, X-Men United, the best X-Men film. I don't know what he would be doing. I guess probably a cameo involving Wolverine, because I can't imagine William Stryker is going to be the big villain of Deadpool 3. Oh boy, you remember KRAVEN? Well, here's some KRAVEN news. I forgot all about KRAVEN. I can't believe it. I'm stark craving mad. KRAVEN is rated R. For some reason, and the Rhino is going to appear in it, and the trailer was released, and I don't remember a single thing about it. I watched it like 3 times, and I don't remember a fucking thing, aside from the guy is there. What's his name? Kick-Ass. Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's in it. Here's something that I theorized on when it was announced that never happened. Saw Patrol. So, obviously, the world was struck by the storm that was Barbenheimer, the simultaneous release of the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer. And then a couple weeks later, it was announced, people started to notice that Saw 10, or Saw X, or Socks, and Paw Patrol movie, the sequel, were coming out on the same day. I thought there was going to be a lot more mileage on the Saw Patrol bandwagon, and I just figured that with the hype and money that both Barbie and Oppenheimer made, and just cultural zeitgeist, I was sure that studios were going to take more advantage of, oh my gosh, kids movie released the same day as adult movie. Ho ho ho. It's like the studio version of, oh my gosh, I'm so random, LOL. Look how weird I am. But unfortunately that didn't happen. Well, at least not with those two movies, but I don't doubt that we won't see something like Barbenheimer again, just wholly manufactured this time by the studio system. Like, as soon as, maybe I'm sure, well, when did those come out? Yeah, they came out, like, just not too long ago. I think a couple weeks ago. I'm sure the strikes had something to do with it. Because if not, oh my god, I 100% believe we would have been seeing Saw Patrol posters and shit being made by fucking interns and posted online to Reddit and fucking Instagram or TikTok or whatever, like Saw Patrol, and it's like fucking Jigsaw in like the style of the Paw Patrol fucking thing, and like it's intercut with like the Paw Patrol looks up on the screen and it's fucking Jigsaw, do you want to play a game? We fucking missed out on Saw Patrol. There was the Suicide Squad Isekai trailer that barely showed any Suicide Squad and was mostly the Harley Quinn and Joker. Again, I don't know if this came out already. I didn't watch it. I don't care for anime. Futurama got rebooted. That thing came out, and I didn't care for it. I didn't think it was good. I got halfway through the 3rd episode, and I realized it wasn't for me. I was not enjoying it. It felt like a chore to watch. It just doesn't have the same style or substance as the original. It just feels like, go, 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 go. Things happen, things happen, things happen. New joke here, new joke there, new joke here. And, like, the storylines are just fucking stupid. Oh my god, Fry is binge-watching every show in existence. And he got to the last one, and now we gotta keep making episodes for him or else he'll die. Oh, I know. And then there's, like, the Bitcoin mining town or something. No, not for me. Sorry. Okay, now let's get into the whole crux of this episode, which is where I talk about movies that I watched in the past several months. Starting with Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I had meant to talk about it, I think episode 28 or 27, because that was around the time that it came out and I saw it. But I forgot. So I was like, oh, I'll talk about it in episode 29. And here we are about 8 months later. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, while I did enjoy it for the most part, it definitely lacks the heart of the first film. And I just really enjoyed the family dynamics of the Shazamily and their parents and just everything with that. I like seeing how they're, like, growing apart as they get older, and they have their own identities forming more. They don't want to just have to coexist with one another. They want to be their own people, which is a very human response, especially for teenagers, is to want to find your own identity. I really enjoyed seeing that. I really wished that that aspect of the film was played up more, because we really don't see it that much. I also really enjoyed Billy's personal struggles with the fear of abandonment and fear of losing out on this new family. He has the whole thing where he's like, oh my god, I'm turning 18, they're gonna fucking kick me out on the street, I'm gonna be all alone again, which is, like, brought up at the beginning of the film and isn't brought up again until the end of the film. There's Mary going to college and, like, trying to have her own personal life, which would be fucking awesome as a show or film series, James Gunn, I know you're watching, is to just have a Mary Marvel TV show or whatever movie. Or fucking Mary Shazam, I guess, is what you're gonna have to call it. Coming to HBO. Well, they're not doing that anymore, are they? Or I guess they are doing HBO. They're not doing HBO or Max, excuse me. Coming to HBO this fall, Mary from Shazam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods is gonna have to be the title, because I don't know if they can call her Mary Marvel, which is a disappointment. I really like that. I just really loved everything we saw between the kids and the family and, like, personal lives. I wish it would have gone more into that. The villains were average and very forgettable. Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren, Girl, whatever. Is that Rachel Zegler? Ziegler? Is that who that was? I don't know. I don't know who she is. I haven't really seen her in anything else. That's all I have to say about them. I didn't enjoy them. He should have just gone with Mr. Mind. Go with Mr. Mind. Go with the Society of Monsters. Monster Society? Is that what it was called? Just do that. Why didn't you do that? Because then with Mr. Mind and the monsters, you could have, like, the evil monster versions of the family and this and that. And you could bring in, like, I don't know, Mr. Mind and, what the fuck's his name? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Dr. Savannah. Jesus. You could have, like, Mr. Mind being Dr. Savannah's, like, almost adoptive father figure. Like, Savannah just, like, after all this time they've spent, like, you know, they escape prison and whatnot, it's like a year or two later, or however many years are in between both films, and it's like, Miss Savannah is, like, just really wants Mr. Mind's approval for his evil machinations to destroy the Shazam family or something, and Mr. Mind, of course, is hell-bent on taking over the world for his alien caterpillar cause, or whatever he's up to with his little voice box. I would have loved that far more than what we got of just, oh, the evil god daughters or whatever. Dragon made of wood. What else? My favorite part was the bridge. Something else I didn't see enough of, and then you really don't see enough of at all in any sort of comic book adaptation media, is heroes being heroes. And I love that scene. I want to see superheroes be actual heroes and help people and save people and just keep them safe and be happy and punky. I don't know what I'm going with. But I just loved seeing the scene of them all working together to save people in danger and make the world a better place. And, of course, there's the amazing cameo by, I can't remember his name, the guy who played Shazam or Billy, Captain Marvel, in the original show from the 70s, wearing his amazing yellow-collared red sweater. I really fucking want one of those, and I don't want to just wear a yellow shirt and a red sweater over top of it. I really want just a full sweater that has yellow links on the wrists and collar piece, so I can finally dress up as Billy Batson. Because that's just a dream of mine. So if anybody knows where I can find a Billy Batson accurate sweater, let me know. Alright, moving on to The Flash. I saw this. What better place could you see The Flash? Write it in the comments. What is the perfect place to watch The Flash in cinemas? And don't say hell, and don't say nowhere, because I'm about to tell you the best place you can see The Flash is in Hawaii, which is what I did. I went and saw The Flash fully aware that at any moment Ezra Miller could bust into the theater where I was at and run up to my seat like a little skittering monster and just start shaking me by the collar and yelling at me. Yeah, we saw this on our last day of our honeymoon in Hawaii. We had a lot of time after checking out of the hotel, between when we had to both return our rental car and get on the flight home. So we went to the movies and watched The Flash. Because what a better way to end your honeymoon than The Flash. And I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. I had so much fun with The Flash. I really liked it. I actually liked the weird CGI. Because I'm a weirdo. I dug it. I liked how off-putting it was. And it makes sense that it was off-putting because what Barry was doing was unnatural, just like the CGI. He wasn't supposed to be fucking up time in the chronosphere or whatever they call it. He shouldn't have been doing that. And time and reality was trying to warp around his fucking devious little machinations in an attempt to make something that his brain could comprehend. And it's this weird, almost like uncanny valley situation that he's in. And I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with The Flash. I definitely could have used a lot less alternate Barry interjections going on here. That was a bit much, and I was right about alternate universe Barry being the villain in a way. But is he really the villain? In a way, because I said he was Reverse Flash, but he's actually Dark Flash or whatever that monster is. But is alternate reality Barry Allen really the villain? Or is regular Barry Allen the villain? He's the one who caused all of this. He's the one who made young Barry into this fucking horrible monster man and just got him into this mess. He's the reason that he created, or well, the universe created an entire doomed universe. That's one of my favorite parts of The Flash, is that no matter what they do, this unnatural alternate universe is just doomed anyway, no matter what happens, no matter what they do, it's just it ends. It's a terrible world to be in, and you don't want to be there. And neither did the audience, because no one liked this movie aside from me. It reminded me of Baz Luhrmann's Great Gatsby, the CGI. It's like that hyper realistic uncanniness. It's perfect for a comic book movie where hyper realistic action and weirdness is occurring. It's very stylized. It's a stylized attempt at something different. And I love Sasha Calle. I loved Michael Keaton returning. He actually made me tear up when he sacrifices himself multiple times, and then I sort of teared up when you realize, oh, well, shit, no matter what they do, this world's just gonna end. And honestly, I think it was a good choice to go back to 2013 and do the whole Zod thing and the Man of Steel thing, because it's a bookend to the DCEU and the Snyderverse in general. Snyderverse started with the Man of Steel and Zod's invasion. Snyderverse ends with the Man of Steel and Zod's invasion. George Clooney, I can take it or leave it. I do like the alternate take where you don't see Bruce appear, you just hear the voice, and then it ends after Barry goes, "What the fuck?" Or like, "Who the fuck are you?" or whatever it is that he says, and just cuts to the credits. I like that version a lot better. But yeah, I liked The Flash. And now moving on to Evil Dead Rise, one of my favorite films from the past year. Fucking incredible. I loved it. The entire cast of the main family was amazing, absolutely incredible. They were all perfect. I loved each and every one of them, especially the mother of the family, who is my scary mommy. As the movie was going on, I found myself more and more attracted to that demon mom, and I am not ashamed to say it. It actually felt like an Evil Dead movie and not a spooky demonic possession movie like the 2013 film did. I can't remember what episode of the podcast it is, but I think it was around when Doctor Strange came out, because I was watching Sam Raimi's films and the Evil Dead movies. So I spoke all about the 2013 Evil Dead film and my complete disdain for it. But this one, oh my god, it's fucking perfect. Such a fucking all-around great movie from the very beginning to the very ending. That, oh my god, seeing it in theaters was a spectacle. The scene of the fucking Deadite woman hovering out of the lake and just hovering there before a screaming, terrified woman or whatever, and then boom, the giant letters slowly rise up out from behind the mountains. Holy shit, that was so fucking good. The score is amazing, the cinematography is amazing, the direction's amazing. The cinematography and camera movements just felt so much like Sam Raimi. It's clear that the director, Lee Corin, something along those lines, I'm not sure how you say his name, has just such a love for the originals. A fucking awesome movie. Oh my god, I loved it. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. If you haven't seen any of the Evil Dead movies, watch all 3 of them. Skip the 2013 one, because it's just a dumb demon possession movie that got Evil Dead named over it. And watch Evil Dead Rise. And of course, watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. And I was shocked at the brutality of this film. Specifically, how quickly the other tenants were killed off. Because before this movie came out, I was talking so excited about it. I was like, when it comes out, I want to do like a comparison between this and Demons 2. Demons 2 is obviously a sequel to a Demons, but it follows the tenants of this high-rise in the middle of a city. The high-rise is like state-of-the-art facility, blah, blah, blah. It has all these fancy whatevers, and like the whole building gets locked down, and everybody in the apartments through this whole building are trapped in there with these horrible demon monsters that like possess people, and it's kind of like a zombie infection, how it spreads through the building. Awesome movie, absolutely love it. But I was like, oh man, it's probably going to be like that, where it's going to be the like the tenants of this whole apartment complex are fighting the Deadites, and like trying to make it out, and it's just whittling them down slowly throughout the film. No, this whole movie takes place on one floor of the apartments and the garage. Whole movie. And there's only like 4 other tenants in the whole building. It's like a derelict building that's about to get demolished or something, so people are moving out and getting bought out or whatever. Fucking incredible what they do. And then as it's going on, I'm like, oh, well, shit, these are just hitting the same beats as, like, the original 2 Evil Dead films did. I should have seen this coming. Because, goddamn, the mother gets possessed. She gets out into the hallway after fighting her sister and her kids. And the mother gets locked out into the hallway with all the other tenants, who is an old man with a gun, a younger man, probably in his 20s, a boy and, like, a teenage boy who has a crush on the main girl, and his little brother. And I was like, oh shit, they're gonna, like, have to, like, go around into each of their apartments and run away and everything. No, they just get brutally murdered. Every single person on this other floor just gets ripped apart and brutalized. The guy gets his fucking eye ripped out and his throat slashed. The little kid gets, you're looking through the peephole, and the little kid just fucking flies in from off screen and slams against the wall and has, like, his fucking chest cavity ripped open. The old man fucking fires off his gun a couple times and gets dragged down the hall and just brutalized off screen. And then it's just the family from then on out for the rest of the movie. I was like, God damn, that was fast. I was shocked by how quickly all the other characters were just offed. Because it does such a fun job at not establishing sort of their relations. Well, I guess in a way it does. But it establishes, like, oh, well, you know, like I said, the teenage boy has a crush on the teenage girl. The girl has a crush on the slightly older guy. The old man is like a grouchy curmudgeon, blah, blah, blah. Who, like, you know, it's clear that all these people have history because they all live on the same floor. So you're kind of expecting to see some of that history play out when they have to team up. But nope, they all get murdered. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10 movie. Asteroid City was the next film I saw, and I believe it is Wes Anderson's best film. It's definitely an esoteric film. And I feel personally like it's a sort of meta commentary on his career and a, like, commentary on the art of... Let me try that again. It's definitely an esoteric film, and I feel like it's a meta commentary on his career and on the creation of art and finding a meaning in life doing so, or just in general. I really liked it. I feel like, I don't know, just the scenes in black and white in the real world were just so much. If you haven't seen it, the scenes that you see in the trailer of the Asteroid City out in the desert, that is actually a, like, idealized version of what's happening in the real world, which is a stage production of Asteroid City, the movie that you're watching. So it cuts between the stage production of the movie where it's actually on stage, and then the real world, which is filmed in black and white. There's so much fucking context that you can strip out of this. I need to see it again. I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved the scenery. I loved all the characters. I loved the story. I loved the emotional beats. And I just thought it was a great film. I really don't have much to say other than that. I really loved it. And what I also really loved was Barbie. Fucking awesome movie. One of my favorite movies of the year. Top 3. Evil Dead Rise, Barbie, and Oppenheimer. All great films. Barbie was incredible. I did not expect to see a message about finding purpose in the world, in a world where there is no inherent purpose, come from a movie produced by Mattel. I was overjoyed with Barbie. I thought it was incredible. I had such a great time. I was laughing through the whole film. Fucking, what a good movie, man. It's, I need to get it on Blu-ray just so I can watch it again. I can't say enough about it, how much I enjoyed that movie. I was one of the very few straight men in the film, or in the theater, of just a packed theater with all women wearing pink. My wife and I had to go to the store because she couldn't find her pink outfit that she wanted to wear, so we had to go to the store, buy her a pink dress that she wanted to get, and, it was so much fun, man. It was great. I feel like the closest you can get in terms of cultural sort of excitement and that much happiness in a theater is like when you go to a re-showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. I feel like the Barbie movie is going to take that sort of cultural role in years to come, where it's like, oh my god, everybody get on your pink and let's go down to the Barbie showing where they have like pink foam and cotton candy and like a little pink car or something, and just crazy shit going on in the theater. I feel like that's going to happen eventually with the Barbie movie. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. To anybody who says that it hates men, or that the message was anti-male, or whatever fucking stupid shit incels are saying and spouting, do not believe them. They're just hate-filled little people who think that in one way or the other that they are being discriminated against in a world where they absolutely are not, and the only reason that they are getting discriminated against is because they are horrible, wretched people with an empty black pit for a heart. Across the Spider-Verse. Or no, actually, I saw Oppenheimer before that. Oppenheimer, fucking incredible. What else do I have to say? Amazing. I saw it in theaters. It took me a while to see it in theaters. About a couple weeks later, I went in the middle of the day, which is my favorite time to go to the movies because it's usually only old people that are there. And I hate children in movie theaters. I hate most people in movie theaters. If I could rent out every movie that I go watch in a theater, I would, because I hate when people make noise. But I was the youngest person in my showing by probably 40 years. What an experience, man. Seeing it in a theater, just as the first scene of the atoms ripping apart just shook my whole body. My whole body was vibrating. And when the Trinity test happens, I started crying in the theater because you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna drop 2 of those on Japan. And the amount of lives that are lost is just heart-wrenching to think about. And just what a film, man. And I was shocked that Robert Downey Jr. was the villain of the film. It took me a couple seconds to realize it was him at first, and then I sort of heard his voice and got a better look at his face. I was like, holy shit, Robert Downey Jr.'s in this. I didn't know that. But yeah, it was really cool making him the villain, the antagonist, rather, of the whole film. Across the Spider-Verse. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Renaissance Vulture was incredible. That was fucking so cool. I wish we got more of the Renaissance universe. Incredible art style, and the animation of it felt so much smoother than the first film, which I can only assume is because if I remember correctly, the animation gets smoother by the end of Into the Spider-Verse to show and signify that Miles is becoming more adept at what he's doing being Spider-Man. So in this film, he's been Spider-Man for like a year, which I feel like should have been extended, like maybe 2 years or so, because I feel like a year is just such a short amount of time. And a year, while still a long time, I feel like it would have been more emotionally valuable if more time had passed in his universe. But anyway, I can only assume that it felt smoother because he is now Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man now. He's not choppy. He's not jerky. He's not questioning himself. And I feel like everybody and their mother brought this up after Across the Spider-Verse came out, which is, why isn't the TVA doing something about these spider people? The answer is very simple. Why would they? Why would the TVA bother them when they're policing themselves? Like, as the TVA, they just have to worry about Kang not being born. And if Spider-Man not becoming Spider-Man causes that to happen, they got the Spider Corps, or whatever they call themselves, to make sure that that happens. The canon events are very similar to the events that we see in Loki that they speak about at the beginning of season 1. It's like you have an ant farm, and your ant farm starts to do your dishes and clean your clothes and do your laundry and stuff. And you're like, well, I had to do that anyway, but those little ants are doing it already for me, and they're doing a really good job. They know how to properly fold my shirts and everything. Fuck it, just let them do their own little thing over there. Why not? As long as those ants don't cause an evil version of me to appear in reality, then it's fine. And that's the easiest explanation I can think of on why the TVA doesn't bother Spider-Verse universes. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Before the film came out, I spent the whole week rewatching all 4 other Indiana Jones films. They're all great. I love all of them. Indiana Jones was a huge part of my childhood. I absolutely was obsessed with Indiana Jones. I was obsessed with Star Wars. I was obsessed with Harrison Ford, I guess. They're all great. Some are more rewatchable than others, obviously. But they're all just so much fun. And they all have such fun characters and action sequences. And I love them all. I think they're all great films. Even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which everybody hates, I really like it. And rewatching it after several years of not watching it, the scene everybody dishes on, which is Shia LaBeouf fucking swinging through on the vines, that only happens maybe 10 seconds at most. It's not a very long sequence. It goes by very quickly, and it can easily just, oh, well, that's a thing that happened. Oh, well. But Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, oh my god. I loved it. I felt like a kid again watching Indiana Jones. It just reignited something inside of me that just made me like feel warm and excited and just happy to see it. It was so cool. It felt just so much like Indiana Jones watching it for the first time. Boyd Holbrook is the scariest Indiana Jones villain of all time. He is just a fucking Nazi. He's a neo-Nazi. The Nazis of like this era that the film is set in, which is what? 70 something. No. 69. Right? I think it's 1969 because they go to it's after the astronauts go to the moon. I think it's 69. The Nazis in this era are just the scariest villains of all Indiana Jones films because they, unlike other films of Indiana Jones where the villains are Nazis or cultists or Soviets, those all have this general faceless entity going on for them. They're part of something bigger. They're part of a larger organization. They're just a little splinter cell of this. The neo-Nazis are scary because they're wholly independent of any infrastructure in the world. They're not a faceless legion of enemies for Indy to face. They're just seemingly, well, not that regular of dudes because they're neo-Nazis, but they're just like, oh, hey, look at that tall guy. That guy's really tall, and you wouldn't know he's a fucking neo-Nazi. They're just so fucking horrible and scary because of that independence that they have. They're just all alone. They're just this sole threat that is coming after them. There's not this, all the bureaucratic red tape of Nazi Germany that they would have to deal with to actually, do whatever. They're not the Soviet Union. They're not just weird organization of cultists in the middle of India. They're a underground group who have access to travel the world and are in league with a former Nazi scientist who has funds aplenty thanks to the U.S. government and Operation Paperclip. I cannot believe I was honestly really sad when they revealed that Mutt Williams, Indy's son, died in Vietnam, and I honestly half expected up until that point for both he and Marion to show up at the end of the film. I was kind of hoping for it, but God Almighty, the fact that Mutt went to Vietnam to spite his father and was then killed there. Jesus Christ, James Mangold, that is fucking dark. Helena Shaw, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I really enjoyed her. I thought she is Mac from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull done right. I always liked Mac for the most part. On this rewatch recently, I sort of realized that the things I liked about him, I think I added in my head to make him more of a deeper character. Like, I thought his ending and being sucked up into the alien spaceship was a lot more heartfelt and emotional than it actually is. For some reason, I always pictured it as like this big crescendo of like Mac being swept up and Indy like, Mac, no! And like, you know, they're trying to get Indy out of there and the temple's falling apart and Mac was like, don't worry, Indy, I'll be all right. And then he lets go and gets sucked away. But it happens very quickly. There's not a whole lot that goes on with Mac's death. But Helena, she's pretty much Mac, the character, but good. She double crosses Indy. Mac double crosses Indy. She's very greedy and selfish, but unlike, well, I guess not unlike Mac, because he does kind of give himself up and sacrifice himself to make sure that Indy escapes. She does come around to being a kind of good person, at least a more empathetic person. The recreation of the kissing scene with Indy and Marion was, I really enjoyed that. I really liked that. That was sweet. And the whole ending made me cry. Like when they go back in time and Indy is like, he's been stabbed or whatever, or shot, and he's slowly losing his ability to think straight. And he's like, no, leave me back here in the past. I want to be in the past. I've studied this. I know all of this. I want to see what happens. I need to be here, blah, blah, blah. And it's Helena breaking down, and she's crying, and she's, you know, once she's reached that event horizon in her character arc, I just got really emotional on it, because I know that this is going to be the last Indiana Jones feature with Harrison Ford. And I was like, oh my God, are they going to kill Indiana Jones? Are they going to leave him in the past? But thankfully they didn't. Thankfully he got his nice, happy ending, and retired in a little apartment in New York. And I loved Dial of Destiny. I thought it was brilliant. Everything I wanted it to be and more. And finally, the most recent film, which I watched about 2 nights ago or so, is The Haunted Mansion, the remake from 2023, starring Danny DeVito and others. Owen Wilson is in it. The guy from Knives Out, who played one of the detectives, is in it. And he's also in Get Out, which is an odd little coincidence. Who else is in it? Rosario Dawson. And another woman who I can't remember the name of. Anyway, Haunted Mansion. I liked the 2003 version well enough with Eddie Murphy. I had it on DVD, so I'd watch it. I like the creepy, monstery ghost aspects of it far more than I did any part of the storyline. So whenever it focused on the family or him trying to save his wife from that evil ghost man, I didn't give a shit. I like the weird cemetery stuff. I like the talking heads on the busts. I like seeing the ghosts. But this one I felt was a better film. I had more fun with this new one than I ever remember having with the original. This one felt scarier, even though it's, you know, it does have some scary aspects at the beginning towards the halfway point, and then after the halfway point it just turns into like an adventure movie with a creepy, another film starring Jared Leto. Gerard Leto, I'm sorry. He plays the Hatbox Ghost. It's a dark film. There's like a lot of dark shit. There's like this whole scene where Danny DeVito's narrating about how the Hatbox Ghost was like this wealthy man who would fucking murder people in his house and bury them under the floorboards to absorb the blood through sacrifice to stay young and live forever until he got beheaded by his house servants who seemingly are supposed to be, I would imagine, slaves, because it's the 1800s. There's a lot more darker elements, I felt, and I had a good time with it. I really liked all the characters. I laughing a lot. You know, I wasn't really creeped out, but I enjoyed the creepiness of the film. The only thing it was missing, though, was those talking heads. They didn't have any of them, but they had a lot of cool-looking ghosts. I will give them that. A lot of neat little ghosts. I loved the CG character of the Hatbox Ghost. He looked really cool. And he's like sort of this nightmare demon entity that is like stronger than all the other ghosts. Kind of reminded me of like the Shadow King or something from Legion, which I have been rewatching recently. But it was a really cool movie. I'd recommend it. I would recommend it. It's not the best movie, obviously, but it's still a really fun time. It's fun if you're not into scary movies, but you want to watch a scary movie for Halloween. I think it is PG-13, so probably not the best for kids. Who knows? Not me. I don't know. I don't have kids. But let me know what you thought of any of these movies that I just discussed over the past hour. What did you think of Indiana Jones? What did you think of Haunted Mansion? What did you think of Barbenheimer? Across the Spider-Verse, Asteroid City, Evil Dead Rise, The Flash, and Shazam Fury of the Gods, and any other topics that I covered. As always, I've been your host, Blake T. Wild. You can find me at Instagram on NotBlakeWild. Check out my Etsy store, blaketwild.etsy.com, to pick up my comics Destructo Boy and The Custodians Agents of Cross #1. Destructo Boy is complete in its series, all 5 issues on sale now. Purchase of any comic comes with a free sketch of any character of your choosing. And what else do I have to say? Oh yeah, my Patreon. So I'm going to be doing more stuff on the Patreon. You can see the new updated tiers on there and what they include. So check that out. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I will see you next week for another episode of the Comic Shtick Podcast. Bye.